So you guys know I'm fired up about this section as the unofficial world record holder for most time spent about talking about daily fantasy sports bankroll management. I got something for you guys for football season. um, I've got a ton of bankroll management plans. They're all pretty similar. I basically, the 80-20 rule is absolute crap. Anybody that recommends that is not somebody that you should trust. It's not a good plan. Putting 10% of your bankroll, also not a good plan. On the day-to-day sports, football, we'll get to that. But I came up with something for you guys that I think will be really, really helpful. And this is something that I myself am using as well. So it's completely new. I just designed this. And I think that this is my finest work yet with bankroll management. And I'm calling it the A, B, C's, and D's of bankroll management. And what we're really trying to do here is put you guys in a position so you're successful all season long. Because one of the temptations with NFL, let me pull up my DraftKings account real quick. So DraftKings week 1, I've already got, and this is everything under $2 or less. I haven't even gone into the $3 yet. Almost 1,200 entries. 1,200 entries, $2 or less. So it's very easy to go absolutely buck wild week 1. We're going to talk about why you should do that, but why you should do it with caution. But let's get back into the bankroll management. So bankroll management, the A, B, C's, and D's of bankroll management. And what that is, there's a letter for each one. So the way that I'd label this is you have your ace, your beginner, your cash, and your delayed gratification. That's what the letters are going to stand for. Your ace. So for me, basketball is my best sport. Basketball has the least amount of variance. So I would use a 100 buy-in plan. We'll talk about what the buy-ins mean if you're new here. Beginner. So I just showed you NFL has been my worst sport. So I don't want to do something foolish week 1 and week 1 of last year I had like $3,000 in play. And thank God I broke even. If that would have been terrible, I would have been wiped out for pretty much the whole season. So that was incredibly foolish. And I tell you guys, as much as I'm like banging on a table, like exercise good bankroll management, like the thirst is real. So I get it when you guys struggle with this. I struggle with it too. So the beginner, the 500 buy-in plan, that's actually what I'm going to be using for football. Cash, that's my secondary sport. Baseball is my second best sport. So I use a strategy with baseball. It's a little bit higher in variance. So I want to just have extra protection. So, I had a 2-week downswing end of July where I lost 5 figures. It was more money than I've ever lost playing DFS, the absolute worst stretch of my career. And part of the reason it was worse than it should have is I was being too aggressive in managing my bankroll. So, 2 weeks like that can wipe out a much longer time frame when you're exercising good discipline. And the better things go, the more it's easy to exercise less discipline and put more money in play. And no matter how good I get, it's still something. The temptation is still there every single day to go a little bit bigger. So that's why I like these plans that I've put together. Is it forces you to stay at a certain level. And then delayed gratification, this is for some of the stuff that you're excited to play in, but you don't really have a good strategy. You really don't know what you're doing. So if you have a bad football strategy or you're not sure if you have a good strategy, there's no such thing. There's no wrong way to be too conservative when you're managing your bankroll, because we talk about this can go from fun to addiction very quickly. And I talk to players on a daily basis that are like, dude, I'm having a rough couple weeks. I'm depressed. I'm not feeling like myself. I want to go. I'm going to play today, and I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? Like, you shouldn't be playing for like a week. Like, you need a break. Like, go to the beach. Like, go to the mountains. Like, go seek mental health. Like, if this is depressing you, like, we really got to be careful with this stuff, and that's why I talk about exercising good bankroll management. I did over an hour on it, so if you haven't watched that video series, please go back and watch it. I'm ultra conservative with managing my bankroll, probably to a fault, but that's fine. I don't like losing sleep over money lost, and that's my barometer. If I'm having a tough time sleeping for the amount of money that I lost in play, that's too much money. if I'm living and dying with every home run, every double bonus in basketball, every touchdown, it's too much money. You got to execute like a professional. Always talking about amateurs and professionals. Like if you're up and down because you're having fun, and that's really fun on an NFL Sunday to like live and die on the touchdowns because it's an escape from your real life, and we only get 20 of these Sundays a year. Okay, that's healthy. But when you're like, oh my gosh, like I can't pay rent this month because Saquon Barkley's touchdown was called back on a holding, like that's trouble. So bankroll management is absolutely most important. Putting in the work, bankroll management is the number one thing that holds players back. There's a lot of good players that are washed out, not playing anymore, or can't get to that next level because they're chasing the big scores. They don't know how to manage their bankroll, and they can't stick around. The only reason I'm any good at this is I just make less mistakes as everybody else, and I manage my bankroll in a very disciplined way. Go back and listen to the Petty Theft podcast that we did, or watch it on YouTube. That guy's one of the best in the world, and he shares a lot of the same attitudes that I do about this. So don't take it from me. Take it from a guy that's started before me and made it further than I have. Take his word for it, not mine. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually put together a Google Sheet. I know you guys love Google Sheets, so I put together a custom Google Sheet for you, and I'm just going to walk you through it. So if you're really good at football and you want to use the 100 buy-in plan, like that's fine. If baseball or basketball is your best sport, but football is your second best sport, then you might want to look at the 200 buy-ins. If you're struggling to have a good football season and you want to get a good amount of volume, but you want to be conservative at the same time, go with the beginner. This is what I'm going to be using. Delayed gratification, the reason I named that is because this is pretty much a good way to manage your bankroll for satellites. Satellites can get addicting. Satellites are a great way to build your bankroll, but you have to be able to cash in your satellite. Winning the ticket is not enough. You have to be able to cash in. So we want to make sure that we're not just going all for satellite tickets, and we've got 100 tickets into this contest, and we've spent the last month grinding tickets and ignored everything else, and it's the day where everything goes terribly, and that happens. Like that, as much as I've had really good days with satellite tickets, I've had really, really bad days with satellite tickets. So this is what I would recommend for the satellites is, hey, the way that these sheets are to be used, let's go back to the 100 buy-in plan. This is with a current, let's just say you have $1,000. I think most people will have about $1,000 to allocate towards DraftKings. Maybe not in their DraftKings account, but most people over the course of a season are going to put anywhere from $20 to $100 in play over the course of a season. So let's say you're just playing $100 a week. That's a decent amount without breaking the bank. We're looking at about 22 weeks if you include the Super Bowl showdown. So that's less than $100 a week. So let's just say conservatively we have a $1,000 bankroll. So what this means is whatever your bankroll says here, all you need to do is go to this column right here, and it will tell you what contest you should be in. So if you don't have, this should actually be 50 cents. And I bet I messed that up on all four. Professional. Oh, it's right. Silly technology. What do we do without it? Okay, because the NFL, the football, and this is for DraftKings. The payout structure is on FanDuel a little bit different, but it's applicable nonetheless. And all these are, you can edit any of this, and I'm going to give everybody, just hit me up and I'll get you a copy of it, and then you can copy and paste it into your own Google Sheet to customize this any way that you want. So if you don't have $1,700 in your bankroll, you shouldn't be playing in the mini-max. I mean, you can. I mean, do whatever you want. I don't care. But if you want to exercise good bankroll management, you can get a ton of volume. So if you have $1,000, you can play in any dime time you want. Get all the dime time action you want. If you have over $1,000, guess what? You've cleared this section. Any section we clear, we put it in green. And let's say we knock this out week one, or you already have a starting bankroll over $1,000. Let's say it's $1,500. So then we want to put this in yellow. Yellow is always the current level. And the way that this works out, and what I mean by a buy-in is on DraftKings, most of the tournaments are 20 max entry tournaments. As you go up, there's more. There's the mini max. There's always an exception to the rule. But for us low stakes, micro stakes players that are trying to build a bankroll, we're just going to assume that everything's a 20 max tournament. Okay. So if you go into the formula, what it's going to do, it's going to take D2 times 100. And okay, so what is D2? D2 is C2 times 20. So basically, a dime time is a 10-cent contest with a 20 max entry, 10 cents times 2 is $2. We want 100 buy-ins, so that means we will have a $200 bankroll. A $2 buy-in for one tournament times 100 equals 200. All of these have built-in stopgaps. So let's say we are here, we've been kicking butt at the dime times, or we have, over $1,000 to start in our bankroll. If your bankroll is less than $200, you shouldn't be playing under the dime times. If your bankroll is less than $500, you should still just be playing in dime times. But if you want to mix in some quarters, like that's fine. It's your money. And you guys know your financial situation better than I do. Again, go back to the bankroll management series that we did if this is something that you're struggling with. I'm just walking you through. Now, the next thing that this is going to take into account is we want to make sure that before we move up, we have 100 buy-ins for our current level plus our next level. So that's why this one just doesn't say 500, because a quarter arcade times 20 is $5 times 100 is 500. So our growth goal, and so our 100 buy-in target, another good way to look at this is a growth goal. Our growth goal is we want to grow $500 so that we can afford to have 100 buy-ins at the dime times and 100 buy-ins at the quarter arcade. One of the mistakes that I made is as I moved up, I would lose sight of how much money I was still putting in play. If I moved at the $4 level, I'm still maxing everything out at the $3 or below, and all of a sudden I went from having 2% of my bankroll in play to 10%. Like, whoa, that's way too much money. So this is just a good guide. Again, it's a guide. If you don't like it, don't use it. If you hate it, or if you like it and you want to adjust it, you want to change this to, let's say you're like, do what, Gigi, I really, I'm going to be really aggressive. I want a 25 buy-in plan. Okay, cool. You just change that, and this is built to auto-populate. So watch what happens in our column B when I slide this down. Boom, new numbers. You can also start out aggressive with a hybrid. Hey, I'm going to start up with 25, but I'm going to build in more buy-ins as I go up. You can do that. Just change whatever you want in here next to the multiplier. That's it. This is what I love about this system is it forces you to stay at a level. Hey, you want to play at the dollars? Earn the opportunity to do that. Prove that you have a winning enough process to be able to do that. If you can master this, I promise you, the number one thing that made me a better DFS player is I was tired of being a break-even player, and I basically told myself, like, look, you got $1,000 to make this happen. You're either going to bust and quit and find a new hobby, or you're going to make this happen. And it scared, I forced myself to be disciplined and start acting like a professional. And knowing that I only had this $1,000 to play in, all of a sudden I'm not playing in the $4 tournament anymore. I'm not funded for that. It forced me to play at the quarters. It forced me to get good. But then I started making money at the quarters, and I was like, hey, if I can make money at the quarters, maybe I can make money at the dollars. But it shows you how to move up to be able to play at the dollars. So when you get to the dollars, you know how much you have in your bankroll, but also if it goes poorly, there's a 20% stopgap built in. So that means, let's say you moved up to the dollars and you have a $3,700 bankroll and it's going poorly. You can play at that level until you fall below $2,900. And then if you fall below $2,900, you go back down to the 50 cent. And then you play until you get back over $3,700. You can adjust this as much as you want, but I'm biased because I created it, but it also works. And I've been obsessed with bankroll management since I started playing DFS. And it just blew my mind how there was nothing out there about bankroll management other than the crappy 80-20 principle and put 10% of your bankroll in play. Like that's not where it's at. So I hope this helps you guys. And you only need one bankroll. You can allocate a portion of your bankroll to football. Like that's fine. Like that's cool. But if you only have one bankroll, this is how you can adjust from how you are going to use your bankroll for the sport. So on NFL Sunday week 1, I'm going to be playing at a higher buy-in level for baseball that day, because there will be baseball that day, than I'm going to be playing at football, because I haven't earned the opportunity to play at higher dollars because I don't have a winning process yet. So managing your bankroll is the number one thing that is going to help you more than anything else. I guarantee it. And I always say this, and it's really, really important. When you're conserved in your bankroll, you're not worried about how much money you have in play. That allows you to be absolutely aggressive and be an absolute scary DFS player. The only reason I'm any good at DFS is because I'm super conservative in my bankroll, and it allows me to take stands on players or teams or situations, scenarios, whatever. Go where no one else is going, take a big stand there. If it happens, if what I thought would happen comes through, I'm going to win a lot of money. If it doesn't, guess what? I can try again tomorrow because I didn't blow through my bankroll irresponsibly like I've done in the past. Again, everything I rail on these videos is not to get in your guys' ass. It's to tell myself who made those mistakes in the past and still trips up along the way to really force myself, like, be better, be better, be better. If you want to be better, be better. Like this is, and the other thing about bankroll management, why it's so important, a lot of the things we like to complain about with DFS are outside of our control. This is 100% within our control. It is one of the few things that we absolutely have 100% control over. So hope this helps you guys. If you want the sheet, send me a DM on Twitter, send me an email. I'll share that information with you guys. Maybe I'll figure out a way to pin it to my Twitter now that we're moving into football season, moving away from the starter pack that we did for baseball. I hope you guys found this helpful. Please, guys, let this season be enjoyable for you. Don't do something dumb, and don't go too big on week one. Just exercise good bankroll management. This game is a lot more fun when you don't care about how much money you have in play, and you can play fearlessly. So check you guys out in the next section, and we'll keep this thing going.